And I feel like I've been like on this rant this morning. Um, I am sleeping better, but I don't know. It still feels like we're drugged. I swear to God, where I'm at, they are spraying some sort of, or putting it in the air or whatever, some sort of, not, I wouldn't say an antidepressant. Maybe it's the lithium. I don't know what all. I mean, I know that they're putting in like barium, lithium, aluminum, all this stuff. But, there's definitely something. I've said this for months and months. It seems like it just knocks you out. Like you feel out of it, like you've been date rape pilled or something. Like it feels weird. So, and I don't, and that is the thing is like, you don't know the scattered thing. Is it the frequency that they're using to scatter? Is it the chemicals that are assaulting us? Is it the energy? I don't know. Oh, I saw this thing though. This was very interesting. This guy was explaining. He was showing the thing behind the sun. And I don't know, because this was his information, so I don't think I can say it exactly accurate. I wanted to share his thing, but, everything is so up in the air. Like they're just looking for a reason to take people's accounts away from them right now. So I was like, oh, man, that happened that other time. That's where I got that strike sharing somebody else's videos. So anyways, he was talking about that thing behind him. So that's the duality. That is the two, that is the positive and negative of the earth. This is kind of like how he was explaining it. So it is this, in this pole shift, this thing that's happening where the two, because he was like showing these different angles, and it kind of went with what that other lady was talking about, there's all these words, all these spiritual words. So I wasn't into all of that stuff. Like I didn't know about all of this different stuff. I was just, I was into aliens and reincarnation. So all of this other stuff, like it's very foreign to me. Like I'm learning it too. But it seemed like I was like maybe she called it a kadar. I don't know. But I talked about it before, where it was this two merging kind of energies, and that they were going to cross, and then it was going to split apart. So that's what he was showing with the thing. So it was kind of like they're right now, they look like they're right on top of each other. But he said that the one behind it, the shadow sun or whatever that thing is, the Narubu, wormwood, who knows what the fuck is happening. They don't want us to know, obviously. They're trying to keep it secret. But I think it's because there's going to be mass casualties. There's going to be mass confusion. And the thing is that they could stop it by telling people. But like they think, and people prove, a lot of people prove that they just panic. They can't think for themselves. So, there's probably a whole purpose to why they can't manage how many people are on the planet, because they are trying to manage too much. It's like, let us just live. Let us just know the truth. Leave us be. But anyways, this is a controlled place, I think. So, gosh, my hair is going crazy. And, my daughter, she sent me some pictures yesterday, me holding the grandbaby. And this is like my swirl thing on top of my head. Like we all have a swirl, right? And so mine goes like this. It kind of almost is like a cowlick in the back of my head. And so it goes kind of like this. So my swirl kind of goes like I'm going like this, really, in the world. Like I'm swirling my energy. Everybody's is. You're really swirling and moving. But it is weird because this side is being so much more affected by this hair loss thing. And all of this hair along this whole side has fallen out, I guess, And it's crazy because when it comes in, I think it's just going to be like this mass thing of white. But I keep doing the rosemary essential oil. You put that on. You're not supposed to put it directly on your skin. You're supposed to use a emulsifier or whatever. You can use almond oil, but I don't have a reaction to it, so I've just been going direct on my skin, putting it, and taking biotin. I'm taking like three at least pills a day of that biotin. Like, and it is just barely making my nails even grow. So I don't know. Is it all in my head? Is it even real stuff? Like, I don't fucking know. This place is so artificial and fake. But anyways, when my daughter showed me that yesterday, that picture, I was like, oh my gosh, that this side right here. But I just find it interesting because of the swirl thing, because this side is not having it the same as this side. This side is going further. Anyways, that's the hair talk for the day. A lot of people are having hair issues, and it's the chemicals and the frequency. We're under assault. And it's so crazy how this is one of the things that really got me this morning was, listen, these people all, and I said last week when I was in Yakima and I saw someone else talking about it, that the heavy spray that was happening, and they were like, there's going to be a lot of sick people next week. And that's what I was saying there. When I was there, I was like, the sky is absolute insanity. How much poison is up there? There's going to be so many sick people next week, and people are going to think that, and they'll blame it on, oh, well, you got together, you guys have got to stay apart. You shouldn't be mingling with your families on the holidays they created, because when you find out the truth behind Christmas and things, or all of this stuff, it's disgusting, and they want us to celebrate their disgusting bullshit. And I saw somebody else talking about that news show Wednesday, and the song they use is some sort of song for doing spells or something. And that is what I said back when they were like, for Sabrina, all those shows they put on, especially on Netflix, they are pulling you in to do spells with them. They're using your energy. It's Netflix is the worst, I swear to God. There's not, it's not like Hulu or Prime is much better, but Netflix is definitely like the worst of the worst. Like, it is disgusting. And so anyways, this guy was showing the sun coming, and he said it's going to bust through. That is going to split into the negative and the positive of the two earths. And so then the people of the positive alignment are going to go into that, and the ones with the negative are going to go into that, which is kind of like that fading away, that part, which, we really have to get it in our heads not to feel bad for the people who are going into the other realm, that realm. They chose it. They chose to experience that. Nobody is being forced into anything. And that is what we really have to get into our heads. Because even if we have our family members go into that dark place, we have to remember that that's what they wanted to experience. They wanted to learn from it. And, I was thinking about so much, how it is very intense to be aware and to understand about all the poisons and whatnot, right? And, when I was talking to my daughter, and she's like, I can't sit. I've had 2 daughters, 3, all my kids, everybody. I think even my mom, they can't think about this stuff. They can't focus on it. To me, I can't not. Like, I need to stay aware, of what is going on. Like, and so to just be blind to it and to be poisoned and then to just think like it's the flu, that's like, I don't know, it's almost embarrassing to me, like, to be that ignorant of what's really happening. So yeah, I'm hyper aware of like what's going on, but my kids can't. They like, it gives them too much anxiety to know about it. And so, that is totally a part to be playing throughout this. Those of us who see it, but those are the people who are scared to see it. But it's going to, there's going to be repercussions to not seeing it. Just like how we're experiencing repercussions for seeing it. It's very challenging to get through this. And so he was saying that is this pole shift thing that's going to happen, that's close. Like, there's whatever's going on in the sky, this energetic pulsing or something. And there's weird sounds. Like, you can go outside and you can hear weird sounds coming out of the sky. Yesterday I heard so many weird sounds. It was almost like the sky was like moaning and groaning or something. It was weird. I was going out there trying to look up, but all I can see is the tops of trees, and I'm trying to see like You know, something opening? Is somebody peeking out and moaning at us? Like, oh, come on, you guys, hurry it up. like this weird world. Like, we're just all these little ants. And there's all these gods all around us in the sky watching us. Come on, cheering us along. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. You can do this. But it's hard. And I'm always telling them it's hard as shit. You know, where there's just so much that makes this complicated. But, you know, if it is that, like what this guy is saying, you know, what a lot of people are saying, you know, that the pole shift is the separation, so that everybody is already making their choice of which way they go. And I just know from the book of one, you know, you only have to be in 51% of you in the act of service, like to care more about other people than yourself, you know, to know that you affect others and to take responsibility for that. So, you know, you don't have to be that much over. But there is, like, what was that? The Anunnaki book that was talking about the people who weren't going to go. And those people are like, you know, the Kardashians, like these kind of people, the ones who value Gucci and this Bellagio thing. I'm telling you, I can't even tell you how many. It is like every other TikTok is about it. It is about people wanting to cancel the Kardashians, pulling up all sorts of pictures. Like I've seen pictures now, like Chloe, or what's that other one? There's Chloe, Kim, and there's another K one, Courtney. She was out with the body, whatever, the protector people. I'm imagining it was a big old giant guy, but all the pictures kept showing her hands look like she was shape shifting, and the person who was sharing the video said, you know, I don't know if somebody is you know, manipulated this video, but it was creepy. Like her hands, like it didn't look like a hand, it looked like went into points. She had these weird colorings and stuff. It was weird looking. You know, and I mean, there's a lot of these people, and the weird thing is like, do some of these people come out of nowhere and just they're talented and the system has to consume them, and then once the system consumes them, they put out a duplicate or a replica. I think they put out a lot of duplicates and replicas. And then when they do that, is some of these people shape-shifting into people who we think that they're somebody else, but now they've become this other person. And there's so much with this clone. I mean, we're in a giant science lab. You know, everything here is all about this manipulation. And it's crazy is now there's so many more people who are starting to understand, like, oh, the reason they're manipulating our genetics right now is because it's always been that way. They've always been doing it. That's where we came from. So, you know, they feel justified in whatever they do. And on a soul level, you come in to experience whatever you're experiencing. So there is no, you know, I know so many people feel like that they're being punished and that this is, you know, so horrible, because it is horrible. It's horrible to wake up and see that you're in this, like, hell. Like, it's absolute hell. But, and, you know, another thing, too, this really got me this morning, too. Is a trigger, I guess, because I just can't quit. It's so irritating. There's so many things that irritate me about this. And I don't know if it's just the irritation of people, just how they wake up and the stuff that they look at and say and see, instead of seeing things in a broader way. Or I don't know. It's such there is such deliberate manipulation in how people think. It's so annoying. But I was watching this video. So it was this one girl who was younger. I can't tell people's ages at all. Like, people come on and they'll say, like, oh, I'm 23. And people come on and say, oh, I would think more in mid-40s. You can kind of tell, like, they look older. But there's such a range in how people look. I've seen people who say that they're in their early 20s and they look like, to me, like they're in their late 30s. So it's very hard to really pinpoint someone's age. It has really, you know, your age is kind of like your wear and tear, like, and that is, you know, how do you do your maintenance? Do you take care of yourself? or you just out there just tearing it up. So that to me is kind of like about age, what age is. And so seeing these, so this one video was this younger looking girl, but she was saying that she hates to go to work. She cannot stand to have women bosses that are Gen X or Gen Z. I'm not sure. I think she said Gen X. All these generations, so fucking ridiculous. Like, I don't understand how people just, anything that is so ridiculous, and they just take it like, okay, yes, I'm Gen X. Oh, yes, I'm this, I'm that. I'm a attention deficit neurodivergent millennial. It's like, oh my God, come on. Jesus Christ. The labels are put there to keep you limited. Like, I just want to grab as many as I can. I want to box myself into these limitations. So anyways, this girl was talking about, like, she did not like working for these women. And I don't even know, because this was a Stitch. So I swear to God, the Stitch wars are on. The people who are going back and forth on the Stitches, like, it's so chaotic. I swear to God. But so this girl who was answering her started talking like, well, because she's a Gen Xer, and the reason they're hard bosses or something is because they had such hard lives. They've been the ones who had to be the first ones out there. They were the ones who broke the ceiling for women. They were the ones out there doing it, man. They were out there working. But then on the other hand, they're complaining like that they had to be the kids who had to take care of things. Like this girl who's answering her, they were raised having to take care of their siblings. Their parents were nowhere. Where were your parents? If they weren't at work, where were they? If you were the ones out there busting the glass ceiling, why weren't your parents at home? Like, where is the logic behind this? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And so these girls, and I'll relate it to my own family, so I'll sit there and listen to them, and I'm like, I talked about this before, but being born in 61, and before that was the boomers, and that used to be, the end of that was like around, I think 55, maybe 56 is where that ended, but it was legitimately where it came from was just this little label, because of after World War II, when the men came back, there was this huge amount of babies that were born, and they called it the baby boom. And then those kids ended up being called boomers. And so that's all it was. But that turned into this generation after generation being labeled. But before they started that, there was all of us being born. All of us in the 60s that were being born. And then even in the 70s, because I don't think the next label came until mid 70s. And I don't think they started it then. I don't think that as soon as those kids were born, they said, okay, now we have the new Gen X's. There was a reason why they started saying something. And it seems like it was more like when those kids were in junior high or high school, that they needed to categorize some sort of behavior that they had in common or something. So they decided to call them Gen X's. But that just, it's just continued. It's just ridiculous. But, where I was, we had no label for a long time. And I felt kind of bad about it. It was like, I want to be called something. Who are we? We're just out here lost. We have no identity. That's how it felt. And so I was very aware that we were not labeled for a long, long time. It was only recently did they start lumping us in with the boomers. And that just became, because so many boomers are dying off, they got to keep it going, got to keep that old generation, got to keep the division. So we're just going to start, as people get older, just boomer them. So, all of a sudden we were called boomers, but then all of a sudden it was just a total assault on the boomers. Like, those of us who had been dealing with boomers, we weren't using it derogatory like it was shifting into. So they shifted it into this derogatory thing. But, I gave birth to these people who were Gen Xers because my first daughter was born in 83. And then my second one was born in 85. And so, but that one husband, my last husband, who was born in 76, he called himself a Gen Xer. So it started somewhere in the 70s. I don't know for sure when, but so the kids who were born at that time, like I know for my own self, I had to go to work. Like my dad made me start working when I was 10. I had to go get a paper. Well, before that, I had to start babysitting. You'd go babysit all night for his friends and get like a quarter and get sexually assaulted, get, all sorts of stuff. And then it became like, well, you're going to do a paper route. Had to go out and throw papers just like in the movies, go roll them, put them in your car, in your bike, go out, and then you had to go around door to door, collect, and you're a little tiny kid by yourself and nobody will pay you. That was the only reason that he ever let me finally stop doing that. But, and then as soon as I was 15, they made me get a driver's license so that it was called, there was a certain name for it. You could get your kids a license if you needed your kids to help you more. And they had to run errands. So my parents got me a driver's license and forced me to start driving and going out and running errands or something. And so then, and my mom was home until my parents got divorced. And then she started working. But she was home. And, all the time there was women always hanging out together, bringing their kids, and women would hang out and the kids would always go play. Like, to me, so much of my childhood had to do with playing and just being outside and just, so much adventure. And yeah, we got in trouble. And yeah, there was a lot of pressure. Like I remember, when they would say, go in there and do the dishes. I'd be like, you just had us to be slaves. You just wanted slaves. You didn't want kids. Like, those kinds of things. I remember those so specific. And me being the oldest, and I had to, there is a responsibility where you have to protect your kids or protect your siblings, especially when you're in a home that is so chaotic. Your dad's drunk and he hangs out with a lot of drunks and stuff. So, it was, there was challenges for sure. But then when I had kids, like you're trying to break free from some of that stuff. Like you want your kids to have those same adventures. You want them to have the same joyous childhood you got to have. And there was no joy being in the house waiting in your bedroom for your dad to come home and beat your ass. That was not joyous. Joy was outside riding your bike and racing your friends and going in and sneaking around and sneaking into old houses and just doing stuff, just full of adventure. And so I wanted my kids to get to have that. And, but I stayed home when they were very young. I had to go to work, but then by the time I was 30 and they were, starting school, I started to have those other kids. I got remarried. And, so I stayed home. I really wanted to stay home with the kids for a while, because I didn't want to just be out working all the time. And then after a while, when you're working, at home, then it's like, oh my God, I just got to get to work. I need to get some paycheck. I need to have somebody say I'm doing a good job and hand me a paycheck. It's very hard to be home all the time. And, it's just an endless amount of work and no, you're not having anybody coming in and giving you vacation or paying you or anything, so it's your value. All of us, our value starts wrapping around this monetary, like what you're worth. How much do you make? How much do you make a year? How much do you make an hour? How easy is it for you to get a job? Which right now, everybody's finding, there's all these places that say they're hiring. You go through and nobody's really hiring. It's all a show. There's nobody getting jobs because this is the takeover of America. It's like, come on, people. They're taking us over. They're bringing us down to our knees. They're doing everything they can to make us weak so that we're easy, ripe for the pickings, And at some point, everything's going to shift to go the other way. Just like that guy's saying, just like this other guy who keeps talking about the sky stuff, it is going to be a huge shift. And I've said, the whole time, I think it is going to be scary. And I think it is going to kill a lot of people. A lot of people are going to leave. But it is different reasons. Like death isn't like the reasons we think. Like, people really think like death is this other thing than what it is. And the reason why people will leave, it will be either that they're done with their role, like they were here to try and help somebody else, so that role ended and they're leaving, or they can't get their vibration raised high enough to continue to be a part of the game. This leveling up, but it's truly, you have to level up and keep going in the game. Then if you can't level up, if you can't heal and raise your vibration, then you won't be able to keep going, because it's going to keep raising. And but so that guy, he was saying that, this is going to crash through. It's going to be this big cataclysm, just like what the other guy was saying with the energy, the magnetosphere or something like that, in the sky. But whatever, it is something with that planet in the sky and the sun. And there's going to be some sort of he was saying that that's going to create the solar flash when those two things hit. It's going to be like they're going to hit into each other. There's going to be a solar flash. The one's going to come through, and then there's going to be the energy of, the people who have been healing, who are preparing for this new existence, the age of Aquarius. Like, there's some people who are preparing for that, and then there's other people who are just trying to enjoy life while they're here, or all different things, really. Like, one of the things where I keep seeing these people talking about like their allergies and their flus, and it's like, man, you have got to start seeing these are poison. And they're talking about their whole entire family, and their whole family and their little kids are sick. It's like, and then and people are like, well, I don't understand, why is all this sickness? Why do I have a kid with a stomach flu? I have a kid with this thing. I have a kid with that. Like, all of them have different things. And it's like, because it's all poisoning. It's all poisoning. Depends on how each one affects you. Depends on your own body, your own physiological makeup. And like, you have a teenager who goes out and then they eat something, then they get the stomach flu. Well, then they're poisoned with something. So yeah, that may not affect everybody else. They could have something totally different. And people have to really focus on the detoxing, and people don't even and it's difficult too, because there's so many different things that you can be assaulted with. Like, you have to just keep trying different things. I keep trying all different things, and then still, I'll be doing something, and all of a sudden I can't use my fingers or something. And so then it's like, okay, so something else is attacking me. So you're trying to detox all these things, and something else comes in. So it's like nonstop, like the headaches, the runny nose, the coughing, the just all of it, And so you have to, to me, everybody has to start looking at things from a different perspective. And another thing too, that I think that is really going to come out, because of these ones where these people are talking about this Gen X and Gen Z and all this stuff, and that these were the first people who went out there and were working. And to me, it's like, oh my God. And how bullshit that the parents were to make their kids do anything, apparently. It's like, but before we moved into cities and started bitching and complaining about our parents, then we lived out there on farms, and you were expected to get your ass out and start doing your work. I mean, I'm sure there was probably 3-year-olds out there working in the fields. Like, and, and then what do we get? We get people who, oh my God, I had to babysit my siblings every day. It was so difficult. Like, I shouldn't have to do that. My mom was, it's just like, oh my God. It really is a thing about that. When there's hard work, it makes strong people. when there is nothing, no work. It makes weak people. It makes whiny little bitch ass people who, oh my God, it's so hard. I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to do this. And what's crazy is how many of these people are the progressive ones who, it's going to be something when they have to face their children who are sitting there telling them, you're not allowed to choose a gender. You have to live in this over-sexualized society and all that, in the name of progress. Like, let's see how that works out. Like, are you going to turn around and, blame your parents? It's your parents' fault? Because so many of these people have so many issues with their parents, so much division, they can't even deal with, working it out with their parents. And the whole thing is your parents also are injured. It's not just you. You're not just the only person injured in the world. Everybody is carrying around their own pain and suffering. Everybody has been injured by their lives. And, you're just judgmental towards your parents instead of being more softer. And, maybe your parents were dicks to you. But is that going to, do you any good to just hold on to that? And to keep on being like mad about it and angry about it, because you're only hurting yourself. And yeah, there can be some real asshole moms out there that say some really shitty things. The same with some dads. But, I think when you hear somebody say shitty things, you can probably assume that those shitty things were said to them. And that has become part of their dialogue because how they were treated. It's just an endless way of how, as we really have to put a stop to it. And these people who say they want to put a stop to it, but their concept or their idea of putting a stop to it is just cut these people out of their lives. Well, so what's going to happen when your kids are ready to cut you out of their life? What's going to happen then? Because you think you're doing such a great job, but you just haven't got to the other side of it yet. You haven't got to see the part where you messed up and where you have to take responsibility. So it's real easy to sit there and think that you're superior. You've done it all. You're the one who has made the world what it is. Only the good parts. The bad parts, that was the boomers. The good parts, that was the Gen X's. It's like, it's absurd. It's just more of the absurdity. And I don't even know, is it the Gen Xers or the Gen Zers? I don't think it's the millennials that are having, because the kids that I have that are in that group, the millennials, their friends their babies are like 1 year old, 3 years old. They're little tiny. So they will be on the fortunate side of being able to see the repercussions sooner, before their kids get into school. More than likely, they'll see the repercussions of what is happening. But those most arrogant people who are so judgmental of their parents and so hateful about all of these things and about roles and stuff like that. And like, I can't even, this was a weird video. This was a really weird video. This woman was laying on her bed, she's apparently naked. Well, at least she's wanting you to know from her top up, she has nothing on. She's making sure that you know that. There's a way to make sure you know that. And so her whole video is that, and, how mad she is that people keep blaming Hollywood for all of these pedo stuff when it's everywhere. It's in all things. Like, I think we all know it's in the politicians, the fashion. It's all around us. It's in people's homes. Like, that's like, we already know that. And then she just starts blaming it on all the men. It's all the men. It's just the men. And she starts screaming, sitting up. It's like, and gets right up, screaming in the phone. It's the men. That's our problem in the world. It's the men. God damn. And the girl who was responding, because I'm telling you, there's a stitch war happening out there. But the one who was responding to her was like, Giselle's a woman, isn't she? like all these handlers are women. Women are participating in this disgusting behavior. It's not just men. Like it's ludicrous. I mean, the tape that is the most disturbing that we've all heard about, you know, with the removing of this and jabbing that in with the two women dancing around the child as the child's begging to know what's going on. Why are you doing this to me? Then begging to please just kill me. 10 years old. I was women. I was women who did that. It's just, you know, I don't know. I don't know how you get people to see beyond what they can see. You know, this has to happen the way it's going to happen. It has to happen to open people's eyes because they don't see. And when they do see, they stay trapped. They can't see beyond what they can't see. It's the weirdest thing. It's like whatever they see, the rest is darkness. They can't see past the darkness. They can't open their minds and see past. Like it's bizarre. How many young women are out there blaming men for everything? It's like the victim mentality out there in the world, and all of it, so many relationships falling apart, and blaming it on the man, of course, for his narcissism. But, you know, all you got to do is start looking into things more, and you see, like, there is not just a bunch of narcissistic men out in the world and all these perfect women. No, there's a reason why the things are the way they are. The women are just as screwed up. Like, you have to know your own part. You have to see the part you play. You know, to me, the gaslighting book was it for me. Also, the codependency. You read a book on codependency. Like, there's so many books out there that you can read. But you have to notice your own part. That's the only way that things are going to change. And even when you notice your own parts, obviously you can't change the world. You can change your own reality, but you can't change everybody else's perspective. But, you know, to me, it is, we all play a part in these dysfunctional relationships. We created these toxic relationships together. It's not just the men, and it's not just the women. And, you know, people just want to keep blaming each other. And it's not just Hollywood. It's not just it's this world. This world had a creation of darkness that was perpetuated. We fed the darkness for a long time. We allowed the darkness in. We partied with the darkness. The darkness took over. And then, you know, there was people, you know, who were like, this is dark. We don't want to be in the dark, you know. And then once people started saying, like, things have gotten too dark, we need to change. This is not going right, you know. And then people want to, it becomes a battle with the ego then, you know. You can't tell somebody else how to live. You can't tell somebody else what's right and wrong. Everybody has to learn it for themselves. You know, we do have a general barometer. You know, most people think you shouldn't hurt kids. Most people think you shouldn't hurt animals. Most people think you shouldn't hurt old people. Most of us are on the same page, you know, and most people, the reason why they have bad attitudes is because they're carrying around pain and suffering. And you have to look at yourself. And all of the toxic relationships you're in give you that opportunity to see yourself. But as long as you are focused on the other person as being the toxic character in your game, then you're not going to benefit from seeing how you can change yourself, how you can grow. You can see their part. What are you going to do for them? Can you fix them? No, you can sit around and whine. You can form, you know, chat groups with other girls talking about like how unfair life is, that, you know, all these poor women who are just get together with all these narcissistic, evil men out there, and, you know, why we need to just, you know, I guess get rid of all men. I'm not sure. Like, it just, you know, is a part of the whole feeding of the end of humanity, as far as I'm concerned, to get you, like, you need to have men for the procreation, unless you're going to go with the lab-created babies, you know. You got to have, you know, for a species to continue, it has to have the both parts. So, I don't know. They want them to be, these women to be against, carrying a baby, and against the men that put it there. It's like, and the women all participate in this hateful behavior. It's like, do you think it through? Like, I just don't get it. Like, I'm just look forward to whatever it is that's going to happen to set this stuff for straight. It's going to be hard. It's going to be painful, and it's going to be sad, but people have to see. They have to see the truth. They have to see their own parts, And there's so much truth that just keeps coming out and coming out. There was another thing too that I yesterday that I had seen. Besides the volcanoes, there was something else. I was like, oh, I was going to talk about that too, and then I forgot. But there's just so much. There's so much that's happening. And like it's building and building. Like you can feel this, you can feel it coming. It's weird how people who are just very much in the 3D don't feel it coming. Like, maybe they do. Maybe they do, and they just don't understand what it is they feel coming or something. I don't know. I know that the people who are awake and are alert and aware, that we can all feel it coming. You can feel it. You can see it. You can sense it. So, I look forward to it. I swear it's going to be horrible, but it's going to be so necessary. People are just so lost. It's just weird. So anyways, but there's no way to know, exactly which place is going to be hit the hardest. Exactly. None of this stuff. It's just, and I can see, like, I have to respect my kids. Like, when I talk like this, that stresses them out. It stresses me out to a point, but it doesn't scare me. I'm not scared to die. I'm not scared of this reality ending. I'm sad about it. I'm sad. I'm sad to watch, how things are turning out. I'm sad to see, that's sad just to see some of these people's attitude of just hateful, just so hateful. And it is like, people who don't even, like, they're talking about history that they didn't even live in. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't talk about the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s like I know it, I know about the time I lived. From 1961 up until now, I've been alive. I've been living. I've been paying attention. And, there's a lot. There's a lot. And I don't understand these people who are, born in the 70s and 80s, who think that they know everything about all of this stuff in the past. Like, I seriously, I don't know. I don't know what they have taught these people in school. I don't know how, to me, this world is so upside down. It's so backwards. So I just look forward to everything going right side up. However, it's gonna hurt the people who are the most attached to what is in the upside down world. The people who are the most attached to that reality. It's gonna hurt them the most. But man, I want this reality to hurry up and flip. And I hope that guy was right. It did sound very very dramatic, whatever he was saying with this thing coming through, which, I swear to God, it's going to come through or something. That is what they're trying to cover. And, and I don't know from their looking glass and stuff, if they're more sure about time. It's weird, it's weird how they know some of this stuff, but yet they just continue to try and kill us. Like, I don't know. I'm telling you, this place is so upside down and so backwards. Like, it makes no sense. You'd think like that they would all be like, oh, a cataclysm's coming. We all need to man up and come together, and y'all need to listen what we're telling you. But they don't want to do that at all. Like, it's weird. I don't know. It's just weird. But, there is so much, like China, The people are in the street. They're fighting. They're done. Like a lot of different places, the people are fighting. And we're going to be pushed into some sort of thing. It's going to go off of America, just social media, these fucking duet fights or whatever. These, what is the other one called? These battles, these social media battles, it is going to have to be something that's going to push us to all come together. I can't imagine that there's not going to be something super, super horrendous that's going to happen here. It could very well be that earthquake that's going to split the whole way going across America. I don't know. I just, for the people's attitude and stuff here, I can't imagine that we're not going to have to deal with some stuff to bring us together. That's what it's all for. It's what everything is happening for, is to bring us together, to know our importance, to know how necessary it is to our growth to come together. So, I don't know. It's just another day of waiting, seriously, of, watching people just lose their damn minds and waiting for something to happen to show them the truth. And, there's tons and tons of truth coming out all the time. And I think that there is some things that are happening on the main stage that are kind of, like, I kind of see a shuffle happening. Like, they're changing something. The stage is changing. Like, there's going to be, I think there's going to be a big influx of information that is going to come. Like, I think that they're setting the stage up for that. Like almost like there will be this big smack, and then it's going to come back as all the information. Like, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it's hard. I can see it in my head, but I don't know how to explain it. But we'll just have to see, Now it's December 1st. December 1st, 2022. I can't even believe this. Oh my God. So, I don't know. All we can hope is that something's going to go down before 2023. But on all of these different, because there's so many people now who are coming out with their premonitions, their dreams, their guides are telling them and talking to them and showing them. And everybody that I keep hearing is expecting that whatever is going to happen is either going to be towards the end of December, but January or in 2023 is where it's all going to start, with all of the real chaos of people really being angry in the streets. And, I don't know. It's just, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And, it is just keeping a good attitude and knowing, like, okay, well, I'm here for this. I came here for this for a reason. So what am I supposed to be learning from this today? What am I supposed to be learning from this right now? And that is all you can do. And I know it feels like we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But also, I feel like there's a part of it that is where we have to be like, well, I'm not just waiting. I'm living. I'm experiencing. I'm growing. And, but I have an awareness that something big is about to change the world. So, I don't know. Anyways, I'm just rambling, I swear. So, I don't know. Just more chaos to me. It just gets more and more chaotic. Like, the chaos is so extreme. That's got to be a part of everything blowing up. So, anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.